Hello and welcome to yet another video of understanding procurement and supply. Today again we have another framework that we are going to be looking at, and it's the Potter's five forces. So the Potter's five forces comprises of the five forces that you can see in the screen there. We have the bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining power of buyers, the rivalry among existing competitors, the threat of new entrants, and lastly, the threat of substitute. So it is important for an organization to analyze the industry environment or the microenvironment when planning how to compete. An industry is basically a group of firms producing the same principal project or a group of firms producing products that are close substitutes to each other. For instance, the food industry or transportation industry. So understanding competitive forces in an industry or sector helps with determining its attractiveness and ultimately its profitability. So Michael Porter developed the five forces framework for analyzing the industry dynamics. Porter expressed that competition is not merely brought by other organizations in the industry, but that customers, suppliers, potential entrants in the industry, and substitute products influence competition in different ways. He therefore developed a framework to show how all these players contribute to the intensifying competition within an industry. So basically, this framework was developed to assess the attractiveness of industry and or analyze the industrial environment using the Porter's five forces. And according to this framework, if these forces are high, it shows that the industry is not attractive to compete in. So the first force that we are going to be looking at is the threat of new entrants. The threat of new entrants analyzes how easy it is for a business to enter into an industry. This is influenced by barriers to entry, which are basically the factors that a new business must overcome to compete in an industry. So an industry in which other businesses can easily enter the market would have more competition than one in which entry is difficult or costly. So the barriers to entry include economies of scale, high investment costs, access to supply and distribution channels, and customer loyalty to the brand. So when we talk about the economies of scale are cost savings made as a result of increased production levels. So if a business in an industry benefits from high economies of scale, it becomes difficult for new entrants to get into the industry. And when we talk about the high investment cost, the high investment cost or the high investment required to set up a business in an industry hinders new entrants as they hardly have the capital requirements to get into the industry compared to those ones that are already existing and have more experience of running the business. And the next barrier to entry is the access to the supply and the distribution channel, like we already said. So here, organizations that have been in the industry for the longest time have control over the supply and distribution channel. So some organizations have direct ownership through what we call vertical integration, as well as relationships built with suppliers and distributors over time. So new entrants therefore face the barrier of identifying supply and distribution channels that can work for them. And when we talk about the customer loyalty to the brand, if customers are loyal to the brand or if customers are loyal to a certain business, it becomes difficult for them to switch um, to another new entrant or to another um, business that is about to enter into a new market. So it's one factor that can also be a barrier to entry. And then we have threat of substitute. So the threat of substitute take into account whether or not there are existing products or services that can replicate the current product supplied. And alternatively, a substitute may be to make you can consider to make or deliver the service in-house instead of buying it. So one factor that caused the disruption of multiple innovations was and still is the music industry. So the evolution from the vinyl records to CDs to modern streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music and Co has left its mark on labels and artists alike. Because while it used to be perfectly normal to own dozens of physical records, most teenagers today will grow up not owning even a single one of them because of those evolutions we've been talking about, like streaming services and all that. So substitutes are products and services that offer similar benefits to the industry products and services through a different process. Often managers focus on competition and forget about substitutes. Yet substitutes can reduce demand for certain products and services. So as with the threat of new entrants, the threat of substitute is determined by factors that include the following: the price of such the price of substitute in comparison to their performance, the cost of switching to customers, and also the quality of the substitute. So when we talk about the price of substitutes in comparison to their performance, even if um even if the substitute is more expensive, it can still be a threat as long as it offers customers better value. For instance, when we take aluminum for instance, aluminum is more expensive than steel, but it's lighter and resistant to corrosion, so it is preferred by car manufacturers. And in this case, price-performance ratio matters, and performance is prioritized over the price of aluminum. And then we have the cost of switching to customers. If there are um, little or no switching costs for consumers, then there is more of a chance that they may explore and move over to a more attractive substitute because the cost of switching to a new supplier would be basically low. And then we have the quality of substitute. So here, if the quality of substitute product is higher than that of any product, then it is more likely that consumers would want to make use of this difference and switch over. So the next force is the bargaining power of buyers. Here we are looking at the pressure that customers can put on businesses to get them to provide high quality products and better customer service. In this case, buyers are immediate customers in the industry. The bargaining power of customers is where they are able to influence organizations to alter prices to their preferences. So buyers have power in the following situations: when there are concentrated buys, when there are low switching costs, and also when the number of alternative suppliers is high. So when we talk about the concentration of buyers now, if a few large customers are concentrated and make majority of sales in an industry, their bargaining power increases and they will be able to split suppliers to get better prices. And when we talk about the low switching cost now, the lower the switching cost, the stronger the power of buyers. So in highly differentiated industries, switching cost is low as customers have many options. For instance, um, rising internet use has encouraged buyers to switch, especially when buying online, as the next seller is only a click away. When you buy products online, it's totally more beneficial than when you actually go to the to the brick and mortar establishment. So in this case, the buyers have more power now. And then we have number of alternative suppliers. So the smaller the number of alternative suppliers, the fewer opportunities for customers to shop around. Hence, their buying power is reduced and increase the supplier power. So basically, if the number of suppliers or the number of alternative suppliers is high, that means there are more opportunities for buyers. There is more than they can that there is more of where they can choose from. So it gives them more power. We also have the bargaining power of suppliers. So the bargaining power of suppliers is similar to the bargaining power of buyers. The difference is that the pressure now comes from the suppliers. They have more power over the buying organization. So the stronger the suppliers to your market, or the stronger the suppliers are in the market, the easier it is for them to maintain higher prices. The easier it is for them to reduce product quality. The easier it is for them to reduce product offering. So whether suppliers are powerful or not, it is dependent on several factors like the switching cost, alternative products or services, and also number of suppliers in that market. So with the switching cost, when it's expensive to switch from when it's expensive to switch from one supplier to another, buyers become dependent on the supplier and their bargaining power is weak. For instance, Microsoft as a supplier has high power because switching costs to move from one operating system to another are high. So they have power because they know that they know that it's basically expensive for buyers to switch from one supplier to the next. So we also have alternative products or services. Here we are looking at whether or not there are alternative products or services that can do the same job at a cheaper price. For example, because of the nature of the product or the quantity in which it is required. So if there are no substitutes, the supplier has more power. The supplier has power. And then we also have the number of suppliers in the market. So more suppliers give buyers power as there is actually more to choose from. But if the suppliers are less, that means the suppliers have power because now the buyers have no room for opportunity, or there is no allowance to choose from a variety of suppliers that are available. So it gives the suppliers power there. So the last force that we are going to be looking at is the competitive rivalry. So this is the threat of how strong competitors are in an industry. If there is a lot of rivalry in a market, then some competitors may try to buy market share with aggressive pricing, and if there are few competitors, then those in the market may have very healthy profits. So the more competitive rivalry is, the more unattractive the industry becomes for an organization. Competitive rivals are organizations offering similar products and services aiming to sell to the same customer segment. So factors that influence competitive rivalry in an industry include high setup costs, high exit barriers, and also low differentiation. So when we talk about the high setup costs now, here industries with high setup costs are those where um, where high asset investment is needed. So in this industry, organizations seek to increase volume in order to reduce costs. And after cost reduction, they cut prices, influencing competitors to do the same. So this on its own triggers price wars, which increase competitive rivalry in an industry. And then we also have high exit barriers. So high exit barriers exist when it is too expensive for an organization to leave an industry by divestment or liquidation. So when exit barriers are high, an organization has no choice but to continue competing to maintain their market share. The last one, we have the low differentiation. So in this case, when products in an industry are poorly differentiated, rivalry increases because customers switch more easily between competitors, and so industries tend to compete on price. This is basically all about the Porter's hypothesis. If you loved the video, please hit the subscribe button and also like the video. Comment on the comment section about anything that you would want to know, any clarification, any understanding related of issues relating to procurement, etc.